Welcome to the Life is But a Dream podcast. We are your host. I'm Liv Toepfer.
And I'm Becky Dreps.
And today is an eclipse. We have an eclipse in Leo, and the eclipse portal has been open for about a week or two since the Aquarius full moon. And we're just starting this stretch of weird and strange eclipsey energy that will last until about September 9th once the eclipse portal closes with the next new moon. So today's eclipse is a new moon total solar eclipse in Leo. So just a heads up, we're going to, yes, talk about dream work today, but we are going to share a little bit more astrology than we typically do. But it does have relevance to opening this field of doing dream work through this eclipsey energy. Eclipses are strange because of a lot of reasons. So we're going to share about eclipses today, about how they come to be. And while we're not in totality here, and we won't necessarily see the solar eclipse in Austin, Texas today, because it's over in the European side of the world, we still all experience the energies of an eclipse. And it's this turning point in the collective for karmic lessons, soul growth, evolution, and an opportunity to really stand back in this still point and see where our souls are wanting to expand, learn, and grow. So thank you for joining us today. Becky, I know this is a big one because you in particular have some energy placement in you have your nodes.
Yes.
And do you want to tell us about nodes and how the eclipses come to be on the nodal axis?
Yeah. So I know we've explained this a few times, but I feel like repetition is key. So with the nodal axis, which are our fated points within your astrology chart, and these shift about every 18 months. And we are currently in the axis of Leo and Aquarius. So there is 12 astrological signs. However, if you think of them in pairs, we have 6 pairs. And so this pair that I enjoy, the Leo Aquarius pair, because I really think about your heart space in this one. And the Leo energy is, I know we've mentioned it as main character energy, which, it can be like the life of the party within the zodiac. But that's definitely about like letting that big lion heart shine, but calling in the attention in that way. Whereas when we think about the Aquarius energy is letting everybody's big lion heart shine in the collective, and how all of that shines together to create an even brighter world, letting everyone's unique qualities come through so that everyone can be their own unique self. And so I love this axis, because if you think about, if you are in your heart space, how that activates other people to be in their heart. If you are your authentic self, that activates other people and gives that permission slip to let them be their authentic self. And that's one of the things that I love about this axis in particular. And I'm also just eager to watch what is going to happen in my own life. This is the first time that I'm going through a nodal return, and that I have an awareness to. Obviously, the last time that I went through a nodal return, I was 18 and, just a kid running around having no awareness of astrology. So I'm really excited to be, to watch and to see. And so this one being a south node eclipse. So this eclipse is happening in Leo, and it is on the south node. So that is a release point. So this is one where we're really letting go of things. And I know for myself, something that I am learning to let go of is, the plan for life. Because I have a Capricorn rising, so I love a plan. But if I've learned anything over the last year, as I've had a lot of stripping away that has happened within my own life, it is to release the plan and to, release some of the logical understanding and allowing it to really be more heart-led and allowing the heart to make the decisions, even when sometimes that means breaking your heart.
I love that. We have a plan and God laughs, I think it said.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Leo Aquarius axis has been extremely personal for me as well. I actually have my Saturn conjunct, which means close to, the eclipse. So today's eclipse is happening at 20 degrees Leo, and my Saturn is 23 degrees Leo. So it's right in there.
Yeah.
Saturn has been a huge player. I mean, he is in all of our lives, where we call him the cosmic shaman or the stern teacher, but Saturn delivers lessons and requires structure, a plan, but also that plan requires flexibility, and it's to be a sustainable plan for the long run. So while you might have a plan, it's not a rigid plan. And in particular, this Leo house is going to require heart in your plan. And I love that you said shine, because Leo is ruled by the sun. So I feel like that's why this eclipse is actually extra potent, because the eclipse itself is the sun being covered. So the shine itself is being covered and going into a shadow by the moon. I also think it's amazing that our creator designed such a system that, because of the perfect amount of distance, our sun, which is massive, and the moon is much, much smaller, but the perfect distance actually makes them look exactly the same, which is how you get the moon's shadow casted on the sun and blocks out all the light. And so an eclipse can feel strange because of that. It affects the natural world in a lot of ways. I know the nighttime animals think it's time to come to life. The daytime animals think it's time to go to sleep. You'll hear birds get quiet. The temperature can cool. And it definitely just has a really strange feeling when you have an eclipse, if you've ever experienced one. We had an eclipse in Texas, right here in Austin. Was it 2 years ago already? 2 years ago in 2024, where I think it was like 6 minutes. It was a long one, right? Mm-hmm. This one is only 2 minutes and I think 20 seconds, but it's happening in Europe. Starts at I think it goes through like Greenland, Iceland, Spain, and Portugal.
Yeah.
But anyway, eclipses do come with this strange energy, and everyone can feel it. And even if we're not in the path of totality and we're not going to see it physically with our eyes, we can all feel it. And this is where we want to kind of talk about the energy field that's being created and how it weaves into our dream world. But coming back to what you were saying about having plans and God laughs and really needing to let go of those plans, it's interesting because, Saturn does require plans, but with this ability to work consciously with our plans, to really become the witness, to step back, and as we make plans in life and we move and we grow, we're evolving always. And so our plans naturally evolve. And I think there's so much more that we're being called to, particularly with this Leo reminder of moving into our heart space and our solar plexus. Leo also rules our willpower and our sovereignty and our creativity, and actually rules the 5th house. So it is intimacy, it is sexuality, it is your children, it is your way that you find pleasure in life and your joy and your play. And so I actually think it's interesting for me that has come up really loudly. My Leo Aquarius axis is actually in Leo's in the 11th house, and Aquarius is in my 5th house. So it's actually completely reversed. It's in their opposite ruling signs. But for me, this, when an eclipse is all about clearing out something, letting go, something dies. I mean, it can be that intense. Mm-hmm. Something is evolving, because the nodes in evolutionary astrology are the evolutionary doorways. Your north node, south node is the way that you're evolving out of something that's comfortable, out of an old identity. For me, in the 11th house, that's my house of community and social networks and hopes and dreams. And I literally am closing on my property today that was my studio in my house of community. So if something old is dying, and for me, that can bring up like, wait, I didn't necessarily want that identity to die. Why is my community changing, or at least the house of my community, or the way that I express my creativity and we've already talked about this several times, but it's been a huge thing for me that's been building, that started with a couple other astrological points, that has been one of those astrology moments that, sometimes astrology lands and other times it's very, obscure. This has been one of those that has really been evident, where I'm closing on our land on the day of an eclipse in my house of community. That's where my studio was and my community gathered. it's been an emotional journey for me, but also this one where I'm stepping back as a witness, that I understand I had a plan to run a community in a certain way and express my leadership. That's where my Mars is also in Leo, and my Saturn. I'm changing the way I express my leadership. And I'm in this field of uncertainty and unknown, and something is evolving. And I'm really having to step back and witness. I don't have a plan necessarily for what's next, but I'm trying to allow my creative field to evolve and grow in this Aquarius Leo axis, to make sure I'm taking pause to listen to my heart and to stay open and expand more. Like, something about this area is expanding for me, which is what the eclipse is asking all of us to do. There is this turning point with an eclipse where we're not meant to set new intentions with this new moon today, because it is being eclipsed. There is a shadow aspect to it. And this stillness, the sun and moon come to a still point in darkness, where we're meant to go more inwards and just be. There is a non-action moment here that we are meant to listen. And that's where dream work, I think, comes into play. But there's a lot more to this eclipse, if you want to share a little bit more about the other astrological moments.
From an astrological standpoint, we also have Jupiter that is conjunct this eclipse. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's not just that, this eclipse is asking us to stand still and be in our hearts, but Jupiter is saying, we're going to amplify this. We're going to make it even bigger. And so that calls us back into that seat of witness, is not just be still, but be stiller.
Yeah, be a lot still.
Be a lot still. And I think that, it allows us, and these are these points that eclipse season is so good at, just allowing you to just take a beat, to step back, to notice, and adjust to, what is going on and what is shifting and what is changing. And so I think that's one of the elements that we can really dive into and allow us to remember that you don't have to always be doing something. You can just be in the stillness and just watch. And also, you mentioned Saturn, and Saturn is in Aries, but it's also retrograde right now. Saturn may ask you to have a plan, but it being in retrograde is actually, maybe you should review the plan. Maybe you should look at it again. And is that plan really the plan that you should be pushing forth?
And with Jupiter in Leo, is your plan coming from the heart or the ego? So Leo is going to have the higher aspects of heart energy and sovereignty. And I love the Leo energy. It's fixed fire. So it is all about being big and loud and courageous and self-expression and creativity, and just really being your playful, joyful self that seeks pleasure and fun. And I think we can all use a reminder to, like, we keep saying this, and we'll always say this probably in every episode, because that's what dreams are to us, is this reminder to play and to find things that bring you joy. Because the more we each do that, the more that frequency goes into the quantum field, into the collective field, and raises the frequency of the collective and of the planet. And so an eclipse is working with the entire collective. So it is this reminder to allow Jupiter to expand your heart energy and to expand that play and joy and pleasure. And so if we are looking at our plans and our Saturn lessons and allowing the Jupiter to expand them, we want to make sure those are coming from a place in our heart that is evolving and coming from this non-egoic place, that we're not seeking validation and that we're not just doing things for attention. Some of the lower octave aspects of Leo are this need for validation, ego boost, not the word for courage, but the opposite of that.
Coward. There you go.
What is the word?
The cowardly lion.
Yeah, the cowardly lion. We're not cowards.
No, we need to be the courageous lion.
This is scary, doing a podcast.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you said, do something that brings you more into your heart. So what is something that you're doing that's bringing you more into your heart right now?
I mean, getting to talk about dreams is definitely heart work. This is something that was always private for me for years. Yeah. So getting to talk to you about dream work and getting to talk to you about dream work and really sharing this more private space feels like I'm sharing a bit more of my heart. I think dreams are probably the most exciting thing in my life. Is that bad? I just keep wanting to go to sleep all the time because dreams are fun. But also, I love to travel, and I think part of letting go, of this death of my way that I share my heart through community on my land, and this like releasing of my land today is freeing me up to do more of our travel retreats. And that is the most fun, mainly because you get to spend time with community, which is my 11th house where Leo is, for more days where we get to really like deep dive and spend a lot of time together and cry and laugh and go on adventures and grow together. So the way you feel at the end of a retreat is so beautiful. And that to me is like my greatest expression through community, is being able to be with community more. That's where my Mars is. So that's where my energy likes to take action. That's where my Saturn is in the later degrees of Leo. So I'm excited that my heart energy is moving towards more travel. More travel retreats. So there's like, letting go of my land has been a form of my identity that I really loved, and it was like hard to release and understand the bigger why. But I can see that it's moving more towards travel, like spending more time with community, traveling our beautiful planet. What about you?
So just in this specific time period right now, it's funny that you bring up travel, because I am going on a beach trip this weekend and it's also funny this eclipse is happening in Spain, because I'm going on the beach trip with all of the girls that I studied abroad and lived with in Spain.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like this coming back together. But I think that's one of the things that I have, when I went through the last eclipse portal last year, it was a huge shedding. I ended a almost 5-year relationship. It was just, we talk about eclipses can be like things eclipsing out of your life. And this was a huge eclipse for me. So I'm hoping this eclipse is a little bit more chill. But one of the things I learned in that process was how much I needed my community, and how my community that I did have like really came into play and held me. I ended up on a retreat with you very soon after that all happened. And it was the first time I got to talk about everything, and I got to be held and listened to. And I was validated a bit in that, which I needed.
Yeah, sometimes we do.
And so for this one, that not intentionally, but I'm going on this beach trip with, girls that have known me for years, and to be able to reestablish community. I think that's one of the things that really pulls me into that heart space, and spending quality time with people that I really, really love and have built deep relationships with is one of the things that really pulls me into my heart really quickly.
And I think that's beautiful for you personally, just because you are about to embark on your nodal return. So today's eclipse for everyone, the end of July, I think it was like July 26th, the nodal axis moved from Pisces and Virgo into Leo and Aquarius. So we have the North Node in Aquarius, which is where the collective is going to be moving more towards the future and service to humanity rising up, and things that are in service to humanity. So with the South Node in Leo, this eclipse in particular, I think, is important for many reasons for you personally, because your nodal journey is beginning, which is going to be for the next 18 months. So anybody that has their North or South Node in either Leo or Aquarius are going to be feeling this more personally. So today ends something, an eclipse is something out, some old energy, but also an eclipse is both an ending and a beginning. So something new is beginning, but for many layers. So today we have this particular portal. We'll have a second eclipse on August 28th, which will actually be the last and final eclipse of the Pisces-Virgo axis. It'll be a Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. And that's closing out a 23-year cycle of soul growth. And so we'll have one more cleansing and purging of that. But then we'll have our eclipses in either Aquarius or Leo for the next 18 months. And then that is also, an eclipse begins a week or two before and closes a week or two after the second eclipse. So this will be lasting, this eclipse energy will be lasting until September 9th. So 9, another little synchronistic number of like, hey, pay attention, something big is shifting. But also for the next 18 months, and eclipse energy naturally unfolds in a process over the next 6 months. So we have this portal which is an important, potent time to pay attention. And again, because it's eclipse energy, things can be strange or abrupt or shocking. They are a dissolution of whatever is old and no longer evolving with you, but also deeper. So it can look like energy playing out in our current real life in front of us, but it could be much deeper than that. Because it's a South Node in Leo, this can go back to our many lifetimes, previous lifetimes. This is soul energy that is being integrated into this lifetime so that we can move in our nodal direction towards evolving as a collective and personally in those areas of the houses that they're in your chart. So eclipse energy, pay attention in this portal from now through September 9th. This is where we're inviting you to do some deeper dream work. And dream work is actually not work at all. It's the one time that we actually just let go and let. Allow is a great word for seeing what comes up in your dreams over the course of the next few weeks, because this may be much deeper. This could be past life gifts that are trying to come through, past life wisdom, knowledge, things that your soul's wanting to remember. I kind of like to think of this portal as an opportunity for remembrance, which is something that we can ask for when we go to bed at night, when we set our intentions and we relax the nervous system and call upon our dream guides and ask to be shown what it is our soul wants to know and evolve through and integrate in this lifetime. And how is it presenting in our life as lessons or challenges that we're, needing to integrate at a real DNA cellular level. And in fact, last night I sat outside before bed and was just kind of thinking about the eclipse today and wondering what my dreams would be like. And the wind felt so beautiful. I actually stayed out there for about 30 minutes. And I asked my dream guides to lead me and guide me and show me at a deeper level. Like, what is my soul really wanting to understand right now? My dreams were interesting last night, but do you ever call on dream guides to help you?
Yeah, and it was funny. Usually I do a couple different guided meditations at night. And last night I decided, I was like, I've been listening to all of these for so long. I'm going to just do them myself and call in the energies that I feel like I want to call in. So I did my deep breath and called in all my protection and then everything. And my intention was specifically to connect with my guides. So
I love that we both always do that.
And it was interesting to go into my dreams last night. And then I did have a lot of dreams, and I woke up. It was probably it must have been around 4 in the morning. And I had such a vivid dream. But I was also really tired, even though I went to bed early last night. And I was like, I'll just fall back into it. And then I didn't. And then when I woke up in the morning, I could only remember a portion of it. But what I do remember from last night was, I feel like I'm finally graduating from the house, the psyche, the inside. And last night I was at a river. And
I was in a river last night. I love how we always do this.
One of these times we're just going to meet up with each other.
I know. We'll have to practice dream sharing.
Dream sharing. And so I was at a river, and then I had a colleague who I've been working on a pretty intense project at work, and he was in the dream. There was another male in the dream who was a guide, but I don't remember enough specifically about that person, which is a bummer because I really wanted to, and there was definitely more to this dream. And so even though I had set all the intentions and I did all the things, whenever I woke up this morning, I guess it's not ready for me quite yet.
That's okay. That happens. And I know once you start dream work, I know for me, for sure, getting to remember your dreams every single day and them being very vivid when you have a time that they come in fragmented or hard to remember, or you think you're going to remember, so you go back to sleep and then you don't, can feel very frustrating. But that's also just a beautiful reminder to not get so attached and rigid to remembering them all, because I think whatever we're meant to remember, we will.
Yeah.
And because it is also important to remember that while it's called dream work, we actually don't want to work at all. We want to allow. Anytime I try to dream, I feel like I'm almost blocked from dreams. It's like, whoa, this is an allowing practice. This is a release, let go, and allow creativity to flow, and whatever we're meant to bring through, we will. But also, if you're stressed out and tired and your nervous system is more activated, it might be that you needed rest more so than,
For sure.
working on learning about your psyche.
I know. And it's like, and it's that interesting part of like coming back to the Saturn lesson. Like, I was like, this is my intention. This is my plan. But then I got something different. And I was like, okay, well, that's sometimes what happens.
I felt that way too. I was in Lake Tahoe all last week for about 10 days. And usually when I travel, I kind of get excited, or I stay more open, like, oh, this is interesting because I'm going to be in a different energy field. So I wonder how the land will speak to me. I wonder how the water will speak to me, or whatever the field is, the energy, the frequency, and the people. And I've had like really, sometimes when I'm in hotels, dreams are super weird and there's way too many people in the building and they get weird. I don't know about hotel dreams. I don't know. But like when I went to Guatemala, they were super coherent, and it was like an ancestral memory pulling through. And I had coherent dreams that were like playing at one after another, unfolding in a whole story arc. But in Tahoe, I was expecting like, oh, I'm going to be in nature, so my nervous system will be defragged, and I'm going to be swimming in the water and in the mountains in my favorite place amongst trees. So I assumed that I would have like really beautiful dreams because of all the nature support. And instead, they were so fragmented. Every night was like brain defrag. And maybe that is the purification that the mountain was doing. I don't know, but it was annoying. It was like old stuff, event planning stuff, stress dreams. It was like super choppy. And it was funny because I was waking up disappointed, like, ugh, those dreams were so lame. And it was like that every single night there. But I don't know. I think this goes back to, our whole curiosity about dreams is a reminder to let go of this attachment to needing it to be magnificent every time, or to be some major message, or to be anything at all. That remaining in curiosity is probably the most important aspect versus trying to dream and trying to do dreams or get something from it. So I think it's funny that we both brought up how we called in guides last night, and then it was like,
you both end up at rivers. We'll take you to the river. That's your guide.
And in fact, yeah, I had a river dream last night as well. And I also had the same thing where my dreams were super vivid. I had a dream about bears and another dream about this river, and there was little white ducks, and they were beautiful in this shimmering sunlight on the water, and I was trying to take pictures of them. But I know there was so much more to it. But I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was so vivid and so much detail that I was like, oh, I'll remember. And then I didn't. And then I was annoyed and frustrated because it felt like there was more to know. So same experience, which maybe is just this reminder of how eclipsey it is. That
it's a shadow.
Something about our dream got eclipsed and we weren't able to remember. It was vivid and it was bright and shiny, and then it got shadowed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it was just the eclipse.
I know you talked about some of your placements, but this eclipse, it being at 20 degrees of Leo, is also on, it's conjunct my vertex point, which your vertex point is like a fated point in
more fate for you.
It's like a fated point in life. And so this is another part where I'm, being called to just watch. And in the past, when I think about the axis that I'm working with, so my Leo Aquarius axis in my natal chart is in the whole sign system is 2 in my second house and my 8th house. However, when I first started learning about astrology years ago, if you use any of the default apps, usually they're going to put you in the Placidus house system. And it wasn't until I started really studying astrology that I shifted into the whole sign. But when I first started just looking at my chart, my nodes were in my 1st and my 7th house. And so this, which is the axis of self in relationships. And then, but the 2nd house and the 8th house is the axis of, I call it the axis of value, because it's like self-worth. And then it's the
shared worth,
and then shared worth. And so it's an interesting thing, because I think, when I went through these last round of eclipses and to watch, literally a relationship that had helped me define myself was eclipsed out, and the definition of myself has had to definitely shift. and how I view myself. But what has been interesting about this is, I feel like I've been called to go back and look at that first seventh house access. And I even went back and looked in my dream journal at previous eclipse dates over the past, like 5-6 years. And I was noticing I was doing all of this integration of relationships. And so it was funny to see all of these dreams that are all about like me, like after a breakup, integrating something in, which was interesting. And then with this one, I feel like I've been called to look more at that second house, because it's the integration of those relationships that are changing my relationship to my self-worth and like how I value myself. And that is something that I think, when you go through big shifts and big changes, or when you deal with a lot of grief, you can, there's just some things that just change you. Like you talked about on a DNA biological level, like something shifts. And I do feel like,
which is harder to see in the moment. It's something that comes in hindsight as you've grown through it. And when you can be in it, it's like, why am I in this?
Yeah.
Why is this happening to me? And then you shift that to for me.
Yeah.
And have this hindsight of how you've grown through it. Because it's not easy to go through some of these challenges, especially the ones that you've been through recently.
Yeah. And so I feel like that shift has totally made me view myself in a different way. And I think what's interesting about that 2-8 axis is, when you value yourself in however you value yourself, then that will get reflected to you. But also the 8th house, I always call it the house of transformation.
Yeah.
Because
it's a deep one.
It is a deep one. And it's kind of hard to put your finger on. But if the way that you value yourself or the values that you have shift, that automatically creates transformation. And I think that is what, I'm really getting to sit in and look at this time and be that witness to all of those shifts that happened before, and how I value myself and how I want to show up in all of the relationships that I have.
I think it's a beautiful mark of maturity, if you think about it. So if your last nodal return was when you were 18, and since 18, you've been moving through this Placidus version of your chart, that was your first astrological imprint, moving through a lot of this relationship lessons. And here you are at a nodal return, which is a maturity point. So it's a nudge towards your soul growth. It is a major check-in point in evolutionary astrology. It's your everything. It's like your push towards your North Node. So it is a maturing point. So it's interesting even that your perspective at looking at your astrology chart, moving out of that 1 and 7 axis of such a potent focus on relationships towards a maturing of relationship with yourself, and this understanding of the self-value, essentially raising your frequency, which if we are co-creators of our reality, as your frequency naturally elevates, those relationships that your heart seeks, especially when you think about the heart chakra for the Leo aspect of you, as you integrate all these lessons that have been part of your last 18 years, this maturity is this nudge towards that frequency match. I think will bring somebody in for you as you let go of this focus on relationships. A focus on yourself will bring in what it is you seek for your heart and your partnerships. Well, I know I've had my Chiron is in the 8th house, and it's been squaring Jupiter in my 11th house. So I've had a lot of the 8th house stuff come up for me too, around self-value and self-worth, and how much growth I've had to spend in that house through my financial axis and self-worth axis. And it is, that 8th house is a deepening of self for sure. But I think it's interesting to be a witness for you and your path and watching you grow, and to see you sitting here at this eclipse moment, talking about it, about to enter your nodal journey, and having this awareness, which is why astrology can be so helpful, because otherwise we go in blind. It's like astrology happens, ready or not, like it or not, and you go in blind when you don't know. But when you do know and you can work consciously, it is a beautiful opportunity to expand, which is what these eclipses are asking us to do. It is what our soul has asked us to do by picking the blueprints that we work through. The soul comes here, we say this all the time, to learn, grow, and expand. That's it. I mean, everything else is just part of the play, a part of the act, if you will, the main character energies and all the stuff that we've talked about. But these eclipses are a great check-in point for these soul growth opportunities. important to go into your chart, look at both. I think this is a multi-dimensional perspective. It's not either or, which one is better than. It's at one point, Placidus was really meaningful, and then whole sign became meaningful. And now they're both meaningful, and you have the awareness to both integrate and understand both aspects.
Yeah. And they work together, you know. It's like the houses all, you know, they tell a story through the 12 of them. But you know, that house, the first house is really that house of self. But then we talk about, you know, self-value, and it's like you have to understand the self in order to be able to value the self. And that works around. And then when you talk about relationships, when you're in the relationship axis, that's that mirror to self, and that's how you understand more deeply of yourself. And then when something shifts with a relationship, there is, you know, if it is a relationship that is heart bound, it will create transformation, whether you like it or not.
And then when you value yourself, you start to match with partners that also value themselves, that there's no relationship that fills a void for you,
Right.
that fills something you're seeking outside of yourself. So when you have this wholeness and attract somebody with their wholeness and their maturity and their level of, you know, self-work that they've done, that's when I think some of the energies connect to have, you know, the relationships that you seek in your soul chart.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. But this puts me back into that space of just witness. Like, I see the astrology. I know what it means from a logical point of view. But the way that your astrology plays out is that's the fun. That's you just get to sit and watch, you know, grab the popcorn, watch
wonder
the movie,
how this will go.
you know? And so you just get to watch and see it happen. And I think that place of releasing, you know, like for me, I have this fated point at 18. I could be like, oh, this means I'm going to meet someone, or this means some important thing is going to happen. And I know we make the joke that you're my vertex point. It's just you.
Well, explain what your vertex point is.
So my understanding, and I don't have a lot on the vertex point, but my understanding is it's a fated point in your chart, but it's not a planet. It is more of like a mathematical point, but you might know more.
Exactly. It's a mathematical point, and really it's just everybody has one. And it is activated when you have transits come around, or it shows you a house in your chart that will have an absolute destined something. So depending on what it is, for me, I thought it was fascinating because my vertex is 0 degrees Aries in the 7th house. 7th house is relationships, and my husband's name, Reynolds, on an asteroid, when I plugged in the asteroid Reynolds, was exactly 0 degrees Aries in the 7th house. Now, my husband and I had a fated meeting. We met in Vegas. It was love at first sight. Once we re-encountered after Vegas, we were engaged within 2 weeks, married within 6 months. We've been together 15 years, and it's been like a soulmate relationship. So for me, it showed up in a fated connection to Reynolds' soulmate. That's where I came to learn about, you know, when I learned about vertex and looked it up, and I was wanting, you know, so it can show up in your 10th house of a fated job or legacy moments or public recognition. It can show up in your family. So it really is this higher level soul point to pay attention to, where something is meant to happen. And it's destined. It's part of your destiny. And so that can be activated many times depending on how the transits land around your chart.
So what is my destiny? I do not know.
So I think you're in this moment of witnessing. And again, with astrology, I always invite curiosity, because it is like knowing the weather, but because the stars aren't governing anything, they're just providing this field for us to play within. It is not that it's happening to us, but if we remain curious and have this awareness, we're able to see it. And sometimes astrology is very subtle and it doesn't necessarily land personally. And sometimes it is so obvious. Like what's happening for me right now has been so, I couldn't even make up all the astrological significance, which has helped me release my land and move through this shift in my community with more ease, because I'm like, wow, something divine is at play. And I'm just going to surrender and trust. So with your vertex point, you can't make up a fated moment. And so it'll happen when it happens. But because you're aware of it, you're going to have this ability to have hindsight reflection. So you have a lot moving for you right now with moving into your nodal shift, having this awareness of your two charts, and this eclipse moment is essentially activating this journey for you, I think, especially for your nodes. It started really with the last full moon. That's when the eclipse portal opened. And so I'm going to be curiously watching how your little journey unfolds.
I know.
For you guys, just keeping that witnessing perspective, remaining curious and open. We're not trying to make anything happen during this portal. And unlike other new moons, we want to actually not set new intentions, but actually be willing. So there's this willingness and this allowing and this witnessing perspective to just watch what unfolds. What is naturally evolving out of your life? Because it's the Leo heart energy, it could be relationships. Depending on where it lands in your chart, it could be more specific for you. Something being eclipsed out. There is always something culminating, coming to an end, so that we can make more space for this journey ahead. As a reminder, this eclipse is going to unfold. So right now you're kind of getting these heads ups between now and the second eclipse on the 28th, and then it unfolds over the course of the next 6 months. And then all of that is setting us up for the next 10 years, because the last time we had a Leo eclipse was in 2017, and the next time we have one will be about 10 years from now. So these are big turning points where, just like the ancients were weird about eclipses. Imagine the ancients where they didn't know about eclipses scientifically, and they just saw that suddenly the sun was eaten by the moon and everything turned dark for a few minutes. That could have felt really scary.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
They've been significant points throughout history. I mean, I think the one we all like, at least in, the Judeo-Christian, we always hear about that when Jesus died, there was an eclipse, and that's in every version of the Gospels. They comment on that. Like, it was a massive ending, obviously.
That's a fated moment. Yeah.
Fated moment. And so they do hold a significance, but just like in that moment, it was a significance to stop, to watch, to be the witness of what was happening. And so I think that, as we think about the, ancient way of like, it literally made them stop in their tracks because there wasn't a logical understanding of what was going on. And also, eclipses don't happen at the same time of the year every year because it works with this ecliptical axis.
So you can't count on it.
So you can't count on it. And it wasn't until astronomers started to follow the patterns of the sun, understand this, that there became an awareness to when or why this was happening. But other times it would just happen, and, literally you would be stopped. You could not continue.
Which is why a lot of the ancients said, do not go outside. There was a lot of fear around eclipses, which is why eclipse energy comes up to have like omens or scary darkness. There's a lot of fear around eclipses sometimes because of their lack of understanding of what was happening scientifically with the sun and the moon. So there was, rules against don't go outside during eclipse, certainly don't watch the eclipse, don't do rituals, no prayers. It was just like a moment to go in and be silent and to move within yourself as a means of protection from what was happening in the outer world. And while we're not as superstitious today about eclipses, and there's certainly a massive amount of interest in watching an eclipse, people travel all over the world to be in the path of totality, particularly on a solar eclipse. We are more outwardly expressed, but there is still this call to move within. And which is why I think this call today to move towards your dream work is this just witnessing perspective. Yes, maybe we go outside and we witness an eclipse if you're in those zones, but also witness what is moving within you, what is happening within your psyche, what is either wanting to come up as a purging, a letting go, or a deep soul level integration of something that you might be pulling through from many lifetimes that are wanting to really evolve all the way into your field at a physical body, DNA level integration, so that you can activate some of your gifts, your wisdom, and your knowledge from many, many lifetimes that are being called forth in this moment of evolution on our planet, and this deeper understanding of you from a soul level. I think it's important for us as we do this conscious work to invite more of our souls in, to be led by our soul, to be led by our hearts. And an eclipse is a beautiful opportunity to meditate and to sit within your heart space and witness what is being called forth at this moment but not to take action necessarily, but to move from this place of feeling rather than a knowing. So we might move through periods of uncertainty, and the quieter we get, the more we listen, the more we feel, the better we can express, as that Leo energy is inviting us to do, this creative expression, but from the heart space, not the egoic space. So we invite you to do dream work, especially during this portal. And again, not work, a letting go, a maybe meditation, a prayer, a call for your dream guides, and then a letting go and a witnessing of what unfolds in your dreamscape and what it is you choose to remember from a soul level. And in fact, we're going to be recording some guided sleeping meditations for you. So be on the lookout for those. Let us know in the comments what comes up. Since we're recording this on the day of the eclipse, you might be watching this anytime past this eclipse date. So hindsight is always really beautiful to reflect back to what you had in your dreams anytime in this portal, or really anytime at all.
Yeah, so share with us if you have anything that you notice or any types of dreams that may shift or change. Feel free to leave us some comments. We'd love to hear.
And happy solar eclipse in Leo. We look forward to connecting with you again.
And remember, life is but a dream.